You're listening to the Small Business Talk podcast with Cathy Smith. Welcome to Small Business Talk, episode 168. Today, my special guest is Simon Severino, and we're going to talk about 3 CEO habits that any small business can apply. So welcome, Simon.
Hey, Cathy. Hey, everybody. Excited to be here.
Excellent. So as we know, in these changing worlds, we've really got to be looking at our costs and where we can adjust things and change things. So CEO habits, what do you think we should start with?
I have been, over the last 21 years, every day, I've been helping small businesses turn fixed costs into variable costs. And usually they don't listen to me. They say, yeah, and they don't do it. But right now, in these conditions, now everybody's listening and I'm happy about it. So let's share this because right now they will do it.
Perfect.
So what are fixed costs? What are variable costs? I run a small business since 21 years and I coach small businesses. So this comes from the practice, okay? This is not theory. It's very practical. Think of your top 3 costs right now. It might be personnel, headquarters, something else. Think of your top 3 costs. And now think of when you have more work, do the costs go up? And when you have less work, do the costs go down? For example, my next month, if I would have 0 in sales, I don't want to have the same costs as when I have 275,000 in sales.
Fair enough.
And I guess it's logical for everybody. So let's go through those positions and see how you can turn them from fixed into variable. Just today, I have renegotiated with my SEO agency. So they help me increase findability on the internet, right? Search engine optimization. And I told them, people, I do not feel well under these circumstances in paying you a fixed amount per month. Let's find something where you have half of the risk and I have half of the risk because I want to do this long-term with you. And long-term means it needs to have a good resilience for my cash flow. So I'm happy to pay more for each backlink, but 0 for the time that you put in. Let's have this conversation.
Okay. We
had a good conversation. They now get more. So we have defined 3 qualities of backlinks. There is an official ranking out there. So we said for high ranking backlinks, they get this amount. And then for mid, this amount. And then for low quality backlinks, this amount. And we move forward together with now variable costs.
Okay.
Which on the one side, it might happen that at the end of the month, I'm still paying the same amount. But the risk is 0 because I'm only paying that amount if it's working.
Yes.
And this is a much more resilient position to be in. So just one example, but you can do this with your PR agencies, but whoever are your contractors, your suppliers, think of your main costs. How can you turn them into a less risky position? And I guess you are also happy to pay more if it's something is working, but you don't want to pay anything if something is not working.
True. Very true.
Okay. So that's how you can pay costs.
All right. So what other sort of areas could you do it? Could you look at maybe not having a fixed building and then maybe looking at hot seating on a collab or something like that if you're not there all the time like you used to be?
Definitely. Like I don't have a car since 15 years because I don't need to own a car. Whenever I need one, I can use it. On the weekend, I use a big one for the family. And during the week, I use just Ubers or whatever there is in my city, right? So I don't need to own a car anymore. Same for the buildings. We are a global company. We operate in almost all time zones now as Strategy Sprints team. Nobody pays 1 cent for a rent. We are digital. We're born digital. And so we work wherever we want. We work from Bali, from Singapore, and for wherever is fun. And if we need a venue, we rent a venue for those 3 days that we have a big client event. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we rent that venue for specific purposes. And it's much more fun because sometimes we want a venue that's fancy, but sometimes we want one where we want to relax. Sometimes we want something that is at the beach. Sometimes we want it in the mountain. Depends on the topic of the summit.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that sounds great. Unfortunately, cars won't work here in Australia because we have such big distances that, won't be giving up my car anytime soon, but definitely can see the advantages of not having a fixed premises. And now that working from home is such a normal thing to do, it's not seen as weird like it was just a few years ago.
Absolutely. And look, I have clients in Australia. Entrepreneurs are sprinting right now. They sit in Australia, in different parts of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been to Australia. I'm in Austria. My coaches that coach them, they are in Singapore, in New Zealand, in Shanghai. So we don't even know exactly where our clients are. I know exactly their weekly marketing numbers, sales numbers, and ops numbers, because that's what we track in the sprint dashboard. Yep. I don't even know exactly where in Australia they are, because I've never been to Australia. So that's how geography has lost relevance in our case. And other things like having a weekly dashboard of the things that we need to track every week, that has increased in relevance. So also that, check what has become more relevant for you in your context. The next thing is cash flow. So we have now de-risked by reducing costs. How can you improve cash flow? Cash flow means even if you have the same costs and the same revenue, you can shift the availability of money. Cash flow is how much can you pay on Friday. That's liquidity as part of cash flow. And cash flow means what's coming in, what's getting out every month. Mm-hmm. So how can you improve that? You can improve that by charging in a different way. Most people listening right now, they charge at the end of the month and they charge for time.
Yes.
That's the worst thing you can do.
Yes.
You are ruining your future right there. So what's the second best thing to do? It's to charge for results at the end of the month, but then you still have a crappy cash flow. Mm-hmm. You have now a better profitability because you are defining what's in scope and out of scope of your offer. So you have less scope creep.
Yes.
But you still have a crappy cash flow. So what's the best? And so these are usually the 3 steps. When somebody starts with us, they charge for time at the end of the month. Then we help them charge for results at the end of the month. And then we shift them to charge for results upfront. Mm-hmm. For example, my sprint coaches, you cannot get them unless you pay upfront 25K. You have to send them 25K upfront, then you will have 3 months of coaching. There is nothing else. And then people say, yeah, can I pay it monthly? No. No. If you are serious about growing your business, then you will get a serious coach. And a serious coach, you need to reserve that. Otherwise, you don't get that.
No, and it costs money.
Yes, upfront. And so that increases your availability. So you might charge the same thing, but you have it upfront. By having it upfront, now you can have your sales estimation nailed down much better. You know the numbers you are doing in 2 months, in 3 months, and now you can take decisions, relevant decisions, based on your real numbers.
Yes.
Because now you can say, all right, I always wanted to hire a salesperson. And now you know your numbers. So you know if it's the right moment to hire and how much you can afford to pay them.
Mm-hmm. And you have the money to pay them as well. You're not waiting for those sales to come in.
Yes. Yes. So it's such a simple shift, right? It's the timing of your invoice, and it's what you write on it. You don't write, I'm charging you X amount of Australian dollars for this amount of time, but you say, I charge you this because I'm reducing your costs by 35% in those next 90 days, or I'm increasing, like that's our promise, we are doubling your revenue in the next 90 days. And that is the number that you will achieve in those 90 days. And that's why we charge this, because it's 1/10 of your additional sales.
Yep.
And that's a fair proposition, 10 to 1. And then you have to de-risk it. So how can you de-risk the decision for your customers? Create a landing page with all your clients that tell about their results. Mm-hmm. So we have a page, it's strategysprints.com/love, where we have all the love letters of our last 160 clients. And that de-risks, because when you say, okay, pay me up front, that's a huge risk that you're bringing the other person in. So how can you de-risk it? By showing a lot of results in exactly their industry, in exactly their situation.
So what do you do if you don't have those results already?
Then create those results. So if you don't have results, then you have to improve your operations first. This is where we differ from most coaches on the planet. Because most coaches will tell you, improve marketing, improve positioning, improve sales. And we will tell operations first.
Yep.
Because if you have a great product that delivers a great experience, that sells itself partially. And then you just increase that with better marketing.
Yes.
So if you don't have people who say, I was working with Cathy and now my costs went down 45%, or now my sales went up 27%. If you don't have that, well, create that first. Otherwise, what the hell are you selling?
Exactly. And it's much easier to sell a proven result. And we all like to either move to gain or away from pain.
Exactly. Pains and gains. What are the three most important pains? Usually it's, saving money or making money. It's reducing the time that you need or getting your time back by automating, outsourcing something. These are the vitals, the vital pains and the vital benefits. Absolutely. So focus on that, create a package. Okay, in this time, I can get you to this cost reduction or to this sales increase. And I guarantee it, because I've done it so many times, that I can tell you exactly where I can bring you. I can define a minimum that I guarantee you, and everything else is on top. And 1/10 of that will be what I charge upfront. That's, for example, a very good blueprint for a B2B business, a high ticket business.
Yes. So if they're a smaller business and they've got maybe something that's a bit more variable, what would you suggest they do then?
Well, the variability is a problem, especially in these times. Right? You can have variability when everybody's throwing cash everywhere. You might get somewhere with variability, but this is not how you get anywhere during a recession. And wherever you are, Australia, US, Europe, prepare for stagflation/recession. That's a negative growth or very slow growth. Plus inflation, plus debasement of your currency. So it's not a pretty picture the next 6 months. So goal number one, you stay in the game by reducing your costs, increasing your cash flow. Goal number two is now go double your revenue. So I would focus on three things. And first, I would reduce the variability. How do you reduce the variability? By just offering one thing. Of all the things that you're doing well, pick the one that has the highest impact, so best results and the highest ROI for you, best profitability, how much you keep of that project. Pick that one, and for the next 90 days, only improve that. See that as your garden every day you pass by, and I mean every day, and you give it a little bit of water, you curate it, because everything that you curate becomes better.
What you concentrate on grows.
Yes, you bring more energy to it. You will improve it. It's simple. And so the hard thing is to pick one. That's why our sprint coaches, they have a couple spreadsheets to show the numbers. And so they walk them through, all right, this offer makes you 25K. Okay, but how many hours do you really put in? And so after that half an hour of crunching those numbers, they see, all right, all my offers are not created equal. There are many offers that have a very low profitability. And then there is this one offer that has the highest profitability. And it's actually more fun to do that. So we will pick that for the next 90 days and improve it every week by 1%.
Mm-hmm.
And when we say improve it by 1%, improve the experience of how you onboard clients. So what happens in the first week? What happens in week -1? What happens in week 1, in week 2, in week 3? How can you make that a wow experience? Because then you can build on that. If that's wow, then there will be a couple of, we call them celebration points, where you can say, wow, look at this. Your website is now so much better. Who else needs this? Do you know 3 people who need this? And if you ask in the right moment, with the right intention, they will tell you 3 people.
Perfect.
If you wait too long, it's over, and then it sounds salesy. They won't do it.
No, once the excitement's gone.
Right, yes, and if you do it in the right moment, they literally will hand you over to 3 friends. So that's what we call celebration points. And this is also something that we map out with people. Okay, how can we make the experience a great experience? Where are celebration points? How can you automate asking the right thing in the right moment? How can your whole team know when to do it? And this is how you create referrals from existing clients, which is 0 additional costs.
Exactly. And they're more likely to spruik about you and be happy to refer you once they've got that celebration moment and they're still excited about it.
In that moment, your probability is very high. 2 days later, it's gone. So it's really important that you map it out and say, okay, usually in month 1, this happens. All right, let's define how we will see it happen and the email template and the phone template that we are going to use. Mm-hmm. And the same thing in month 2 and the same thing in month 3. These are the 3 celebration points. And it's a timing thing. And you can prepare for that, like athletes prepare for success. That's how we coach entrepreneurs to prepare for their success in operations, in this case.
Fantastic. So if you could give one piece of advice for the listeners to sort of encapsulate what we've talked about, what would it be?
Most people misunderstand what capitalism is. They think it's about maximizing profits fast. It's not. It's more like Monopoly. I don't know the name of it's a board game.
Yeah, we have Monopoly here.
You have Monopoly in Australia?
Yeah.
So you do all these rounds. And the most important thing is that you make more rounds and you get like 20,000 something currency every round. So the most important thing is to stay in the game and do more rounds than the others. It's not key that you have these violet hotels there because the probability is very low that people land on those and have to pay. It's much more important to stay liquid, to have cash flow so that you can do many rounds and then you'll find some opportunities and then you will buy some green hotels and yellow hotels, etc. It's much more important to stay in the game. So if I can only have one advice, then that would be keep rolling. Keep in the game.
Fantastic. That sounds like a really good piece of advice for people. And at this stage of the podcast, I get to ask you 5 quick questions. So are you game, Simon?
Let's go.
Okay. What is the best advice given to you by a mentor?
The best advice that I've ever received by a mentor was to run slower because I run every day and I was running too fast. And so run slower was the best advice.
Okay. What is the biggest help you've received since starting your business?
Hope I get from client referrals and client testimonials. And I get a couple of those every week.
Okay. I did say help, but hope is fine. What is the one thing that you have to do every day, you're non-negotiable?
Playing with my kids.
Excellent. Family time is important. What is your favorite business book and why?
I have many. So I have one favorite book about how to improve your product. If you have a product, and you want to improve it, my favorite book, it's called Sprint: How to Solve Big Problems and Test New Ideas. That's my favorite book on how you can improve a product.
Fantastic. And what do you wish you had known when you started out?
I knew so little, and that's fine. I still know so little. Even if I'm an expert now in some topics like scaling businesses, I still know nothing, really nothing. And that's, I think, is important, that we always stay humble. We really know kind of nothing, not even in our area of expertise. I'm a sales expert. I know nothing about your sales, other people's sales. I know only about my sales because I'm tracking it every day. But if somebody asks me about their sales, then I will help them map out the process, how they see what's working, what's not working, how they improve it within a week. So the process I know a lot about. The content is changing all the time. Next week, the world will be different from this week. Everything I know right now, next week is obsolete. I have to Google it.
At least we have Google now, so we can. So thank you very much, Simon. I have enjoyed this chat. And if people would like to know more about you, where do they find you?
I hang out at strategysprints.com. And if you like YouTube, I have 2 YouTube channels where I share every day my mistakes, my learnings, my insights. One is called Strategy Sprints. One is called Simon Severino.
Excellent. And we'll put all of that in the show notes. So thank you very much, Simon. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Keep rolling, everybody.
Bye, everybody. And SBT audience, remember to enjoy the journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Small Business Talk podcast and head on over to smallbusinestalk.com.au/downloads for all the show notes and links to this episode. Remember, to be great, you must start. Pick one tip from today's episode, take action and implement it. Let's meet again next week at the same time and place. Until then, take action. And SBT community, enjoy your journey.